Hi guys, welcome to KO Crafts with Kelly. Today is Teach Me Tuesday. I'm going to continue with the knitting segment of this month, and I'm going to teach you how to increase and decrease. A lot of times your pattern will call for this and you will need to know how to do it. So the basic increase is a little confusing if you try to read it. So I'm going to try and show it to you, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is put your needle in. And this is to increase during a knit stitch, okay? You're going to wrap your yarn like you always do, okay? You're going to pull it through, but you are not going to take it off the hook yet. You're going to stand it up, twist it back, and then you're going to go through, see if I can get this to focus, the back part of that stitch, just like that, okay? Then you're going to wrap your yarn again, pull it through. Now you've got 2 loops on your hook. You're going to take it off, and you've just increased a stitch, okay? So let's do it again. You're going to go in like you're normally knitting, wrap your yarn, pull it through. You're going to stop, stand your needles up, go to the back, oops, go through the back loop, and get it to focus for you. Wrap your yarn again, pull it through. You now have 2 stitches. Take it off the hook. Sorry, this isn't focusing. In, around, out, up, back, through the back part of that loop. So let me turn it just like that. That's the same loop you went in the front. So you're going to go in the back, wrap your yarn again, pull it through, pull it off. Okay? Go in and wrap, pull it out, up, back, through the back part of the loop, wrap it, pull it through again, and this is where you want your stitches. You want to make sure your stitches are not tight. You want to knit relaxed because you got to be able to get in that hoop twice, through the back and around. So if you are finding that you're a tight knitter, you could have trouble with this. So you might want to relax a little bit. So through, around, out, stand it up, to the back, through, around, and out. Okay? I'm going to do this quite a few times because it is very confusing. Around, out, through the back, around, and out. Okay? All right. So then to decrease, there are 2 ways to decrease, and your pattern should tell you which way you want it to, they want you to do. The first one is very basic. You just knit 2 stitches together. So you put your needle through both stitches, wrap it around, pull it through, and you've just decreased a stitch. And it'll, in your pattern, this will say knit 2 together. Okay? You're going to go through it. So that's pretty easy. That's the easiest way. Now the other way they're going to ask you to do it is what's called the PSSO, which is pass slip stitch over, I believe. So what you're going to do that is you're going to take your first stitch and you're just going to slip it. Nothing else. Then you're going to knit a stitch like you normally would. Okay, then you're going to come over and you can see that this stitch wasn't knitted. So you can see which one is your slip stitch. You're going to stick your needle under it. You're going to come over and pass it over. And that way you've just decreased. And what this does is this kind of stitch shows, like if you're doing sweaters, socks, whatever, this kind of stitch kind of gives a ridge in whichever way they're going to have you pull it. Whereas the knit 2 together does not. So let me do that again. You're going to slip, you're going to knit, You're going to tuck under that slipped stitch. You're going to pass it over, and you're done. Okay, so we'll do it again. Knit, whoops, see, already forgot. Pass, knit, under the slip stitch, pass it over, and that's it. Okay, so yeah, that's all there is to increase and decrease. If you're doing most patterns will have you do that kind of work on a knit row. So if you're doing, you know, some kind of pattern where you're knitting a row, purling a row, whatever, they'll have you do it on the knit row. Now, generally on a pattern, if you just did a row like I did where you increased, decreased, what have you, the next row will be a plain knit or purl stitch. You do not generally do a increase, decrease kind of row, 2 rows at a time. It really does kind of mess it up. So then your next row would just be a simple, you know, knit or purl stitch. So I also want to show you the best way. I want a solid row of knitting or purling. So I'm just going to do this real quick while I talk. I want to show you frogging. Frogging for knitting is way more time consuming and difficult than it is for crocheting. Crocheting, you could just start pulling, and then when you get past this part that was messed up, you're good to go. You just put your hook back in and you take off. Knitting is not like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you first the way I do it, which is basically what I call reverse knitting or reverse purling. Because to me, it's the easiest way to ensure I'm not going to lose a stitch. And then I will show you what happens if you don't do it this way. And, you know, maybe you're really great at it and you can do it that way. I, however, cannot do it that way. So, okay, I just knit a whole row. And say I missed a stitch or I purled instead of knitting or whatever. So I need to come back, say, halfway through my row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook in the last stitch I did from the row before, and I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to do the same thing. So here's the stitch from the previous row. So I'm going to put my hook in it, and then I'm going to pull it off. And the same with this one. Insert in the hook or the loop for the previous and pull it out. And as you can see, this is very time consuming. It is horrible especially if you have to do a lot. And you pull it out. Okay. And this is basically the easiest way to ensure you don't lose a stitch. And I'm going to show you why. Okay. Now, say I needed to eliminate this whole row. Okay. Which on this is not a big deal. But say you're doing a sweater or something where you have 100 and some stitches or what have you, okay? And I need to eliminate this whole row. Your first thought is going to be, okay, let's take my needle out and let's just start pulling stitches. Okay. Well, the problem with that is you now have all these little loops, okay? You've got to make sure that one, you're going back in the right direction to pick them up, which is like this. Then you also have to make sure as you're picking them up that you are not pulling another one out, because as you go, whoops, I just lost that stitch. Oh no. So now I have to go back in, I have to get a crochet hook, I have to pull it back through, you know, and it's just a mess. You could end up losing stitches, you could end up, you know, not being able to figure out which row you're on, because as you look at this right now, that's 2 different rows because I knitted this half and then I started to tear the rest out. So now I've got to figure out where did one end stop, where did one start. It's just, to me, it's just a mess. So yes, the other way is very time consuming, but it ensures me that I will have the right amount of stitches on the right row and ready to go. So I hope this makes sense. It is a little confusing, but especially the cast on or the increase. But once you do it a bit, you get the hang of it and it's really super easy. So it just takes practice, you know, just knit a swatch and just start increasing all the way down. But make sure if you practice an increase all the way down, you knit a row coming back. It's very difficult to increase 2 rows in at the same time, decrease 2 rows. It just kind of makes it really difficult. So if you're going to practice, you know, increase a whole row and then just knit a whole row. So I hope this made sense for you. Oh, I did promise you I was going to do, it's going to show you some things that you can do with just a knit and purl stitch. The first thing you do is called ribbing, and most places you see this is at the bottom of sweaters, bottom of hats. And all I did for this is purl 2 rows, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2. And then when I turned it to come back, I did the opposite. And you can tell just by looking at this which one you need to do. These are knits, these are purls. And you just do that for however long you want your ribbing to be. And it works up really well for, you know, like I said, the bottoms of mittens, whatever. This is a pattern you could do for a blanket or whatever. And all I did was knit 4, purl 4, knit 4, purl 4, knit 4. And I did it for however many rows I wanted the square to be. Then I did the opposite. Purl, knit, and then you do that for the same amount of rows. And then you do, you know, you go back again. And you can always add extra here, so you can put a border where you just knit every time. You can, you know, put a border at the bottom that's knit every time. And it works up really well that way. Hold on for a second. I'm going to get something to show you. Okay, I'm back. This is kind of small still to show you, but it is an example of the stitch that I'm showing you. As you can see, I've got the knit row, the purl row, the knit row, and it's making a square. Now this is the example I wanted to show you of the border. Okay, I did 12 rows, and it's kind of hard to see right now because I have circular needles and I can't really lay it out yet. So I will show this again, but I did 12 rows of just knit. That made a border. And then at the end of each row, I'm doing 12 rows of knit every time. And that kind of gives it a border. And when it gets bigger, I will lay it out so that you guys can see it better. Let me see if I can get this on to show you. And then here, so I'm doing 12 stitches of just knit all the way around, and that kind of gives it a border. This is going to be a baby blanket. I'm using 2 skeins at a time of this Bernat baby, Softy Baby. I love it. It's so amazing. It is a let's see, where's my stuff? Oh, there we go. It's called Pink Flannel. It is a lightweight 3. Hook size recommended is 4mm knitting needles, but since I'm doing 2 together, I am using a size 11 circular needle because it is such a long pattern that I need that extra support to hold the stitches. So I did up this because I am using 2 strands at a time. It is 100% acrylic. This skein has 310 yards, so I'm doing 2 at a time. So we'll see if I need to get 2 more as I go. But it's just super soft. I love the colors, the pink, the white, and the blue or gray. And I think it's working up super pretty in the color scheme. So I will show more once it gets longer, but you know, when it's in circular needles, it's kind of hard to show. So that's just a sample of one thing you can do with just those 2 stitches. I mean, you don't have to be, you know, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, which it's fun. Granted, it's fun to do the crazy stuff. But when you're first starting out, you can do all kinds of fun stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it helped. If you have any questions, my email will be in the description box below. Definitely please email me. We can somehow get on a chat or something and I can talk you through if you were having trouble. I definitely want to help you guys succeed with this because I actually love to knit. I love to knit. I love to crochet. I love the way the knit comes out. I think it looks more I don't know. I just like the way the knitting shows up more. So I do knit a lot, but I also do crochet a lot. I do a lot of graph gans that are crochet, and they're so much fun. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this. Please make sure you check out my Secret Santa Sack giveaway. I'm super excited about this. I'm having so much fun. I'm already planning stuff out to put in the bags and everything. So I will be giving away one Secret Santa Sack per every 25 entries. We are almost up to 2 sacks already, and that was at the time of this, which was November 18th, or I'm sorry, November 19th at 11:15. So invite your friends, share me like crazy. Let's get a lot. I'd love to have 200 entries and give away 8 bags. That would be my thrilling goal. So invite people, get them going crazy, because I'm also got some wonderful ideas coming up for my 500 giveaway. I'd love to hit that by the end of the year. That would be my ultimate New Year's fantastic giveaway. I'd combine the 500 and the New Year's, and could go crazy. So anyways, you guys have a great Tuesday. God bless. Tune in tomorrow. I will be doing a review. I will be doing some yarn openings and just chit-chatting. So God bless. Have a great day.